The galaxy was loud and endless, but for her, there was only silence. The young alien girl lay alone in the dust, her legs useless, her people gone. They had left her behind when the ships rose into the sky. No farewell, no look back, just engines. Burning the horizon as she watched with tear-filled eyes. She was paralyzed from the waist down, her small body weak, her heart broken. To them, she was a burden, a curse, something to abandon in the shadow of war. Her people whispered that she brought misfortune, that she would never stand, never fight. So they made their choice, and in that cruel choice, she was left to die. But fate is strange, because where her own people saw weakness, another saw something else. A human wandering the ruins of a burned village found her, his boots crunched on the broken stones, his eyes scanning for survivors. He did not expect to find a child, and not like this. Her skin was pale purple, her hair long and tangled, her eyes wide with fear, but glowing faintly in the dark. He knelt down, speaking softly, "Can you hear me?" She did not answer, only turned her head away, ashamed. The human could see her legs, thin and twisted, unable to move. He understood at once why she had been left, and his chest burned with anger. "They left you here?" He whispered, though he already knew. The girl bit her lip, but gave no words. Tears rolled silently down her cheeks. For a moment, the human thought he could leave too, walk away, pretend he had never seen her. No one would know. No one would blame him, but he could not. Something inside him refused. He took off his jacket and gently wrapped it around her small body, lifting her into his arms. She was lighter than he expected, almost weightless. Her fingers clutched his shirt, trembling, though she said nothing. Her silence spoke. "Please don't leave me too." The human carried her through the ruins. Ignoring the whispers of danger, other scavengers saw him and shook their heads. Why waste time on a broken alien? One spat, "She's nothing but trouble." Another warned, but he didn't listen. He only tightened his grip, his voice firm. "She's not nothing." When he reached his small shelter, he laid her down on a blanket. It was not much, just 4 walls of metal and a roof, but it was safe. He lit a small fire and placed food beside her. She stared at it, suspicious at first, but hunger won. Slowly she ate, her hands weak but steady. That night the human watched her sleep. She looked peaceful, yet her body shivered from nightmares. He wondered about her past, about the people who could abandon a child so easily. His fists clenched. Humans had their own flaws, but leaving a child to die was something he could never understand. The next morning, the girl woke to the smell of food. Her voice was soft, almost broken. Why help me?" The human smiled faintly. "Because you needed someone." Her lips trembled as if she wanted to cry again, but no tears came this time. Instead, she whispered, "They said I would only slow them down. They said I was cursed." The human shook his head. "You're not cursed. You're alive, and that's enough for me." Days passed. The girl grew a little stronger in spirit. Even though her legs did not move, the human carried her outside sometimes, showing her the stars when the sky was clear. She would stare at them with wide eyes, as if they were the first beautiful thing she had ever seen. Her silence began to break piece by piece. She asked small questions. "Why are you here? Don't you have your own people?" A human always answered the same. "My people are far away, but maybe that's why I found you." Still, the shadows of fear never left her completely. Sometimes at night, the markings on her arms glowed faintly. She would cover them quickly, afraid he might see, afraid he might leave her too if he knew what she really was. But the human pretended not to notice. He simply stayed, cooking meals, fixing her blanket, and telling her small stories of earth, stories of rain, of forests, of oceans she had never seen. She listened quietly, her heart beginning to trust. But the galaxy is never kind for long. Rumors spread of a human hiding a strange alien child, and whispers reached the ears of those who had come searching for. Now, though, in the quiet shelter, under the broken stars, the abandoned girl had found something her people never gave her. Not pity, not fear, but hope. The girl woke to the sound of footsteps. For a moment, her chest tightened with fear, thinking they had come back for her, the same people who had abandoned her. But when she opened her eyes, it was only him, the human. He was carrying a bowl of soup, steam rising into the cold morning air. His clothes were worn, his face tired, but when he looked at her, there was a gentleness she had never seen before. "Eat," he said softly, placing the bowl beside her. She hesitated, her hands trembling as she reached out. He noticed and carefully guided her fingers, helping her hold the spoon. No one had ever done that for her, not even her own kind. For them, weakness was shame. For him, weakness was something worth protecting. At first, the girl spoke little, almost nothing. She feared every word, fearing that if she said the wrong thing, he too would leave her. But the human did not press her. Instead, he spoke about simple things, how he fixed broken machines, how he searched for food in the ruins, how humans back on Earth told stories around fires. She listened in silence, her eyes following his every move. And slowly, the silence between them began to change. It was no longer cold and heavy, but warm, like a quiet song. One evening, when the stars stretched bright above them, she finally asked, "Why? Why do you stay?" The human looked up at the stars, his jaw tight. "Because no one should be left alone. Not you, not anyone." Her eyes lowered, shame flooding her heart. "They said I was cursed, that I would bring ruin. That's why. They left me." The human shook his head firmly. "You are not a curse. You're proof that they were cowards." But even as he said it, strange things began to happen. At night, when she dreamed, the air around her seemed to hum faintly. The markings on her arms glowed with soft light, spreading like veins of fire beneath her skin. She would wake, covering them quickly, praying he had not seen. But sometimes she caught his eyes watching. He never said anything, never asked questions. And that silence scared her more than anger would have. She wanted to believe him, to believe she was not cursed. But deep inside, she knew the truth. Her people had not abandoned her just because of her broken body. They had abandoned her because of what she carried inside. One night, rain began to fall, heavy and cold. The roof of the shelter drummed with endless drops. The girl lay awake, listening, until she heard a voice, his voice low and tired. "I know you're afraid," the human whispered, not realizing she was awake. "But whatever you're hiding, I'll protect you." Her heart stopped. He knew. Maybe he had always known. Tears filled her eyes. Not of fear this time, but of something new, something she had never dared to feel before. Trust. Days turned to weeks, and the bond between them grew stronger. The human began teaching her things, how to hold tools, how to repair small machines, how to use her hands when her legs would not move. He even built a small chair with wheels from broken scrap, so she could move herself. When he wasn't there, when he placed it before her, she stared in disbelief. No one ever thought I deserved this," she whispered. "You deserve more than this," he said, pushing her gently forward. "You deserve the whole galaxy." For the first time, she laughed, a soft and broken sound, but real. The human smiled. At the sound, a smile that carried both warmth and sadness. He knew danger would come one day. He could feel the weight of unseen eyes. Whispers carried on the wind. Others had begun to notice. A human living with an alien child, one who should have been left behind. Rumors spread quickly across the ruins, rumors of a cursed girl glowing in the night. And rumors were deadly. One afternoon, while the human was away searching for supplies, the girl heard voices outside the shelter, harsh, sharp voices. "She's here, The crippled one, the cursed one. The human is hiding her. Her breath caught in her throat, fear freezing her in place. She could do nothing but listen as the footsteps grew closer. Her fingers dug into the blanket, her heart racing. For a moment, she wished she could vanish, disappear into the shadows. But she was paralyzed, trapped, helpless. The voices faded after a while, leaving silence again, but she knew they would return. The world had no mercy for the weak, and she was the weakest of all when the human came. Back, she clung to him, shaking. They know. They know about me, she whispered. His jaw tightened, anger burning in his eyes. Let them come, he said firmly. They'll find out what it means when a human refuses to let go. The girl wanted to believe him, but deep inside she feared that the whispers were right, that she was not just a burden, that she truly was cursed, and that anyone who stayed with her would suffer. As the fire crackled beside them, her markings glowed faintly again. A human glanced at them, his eyes narrowing with a mix of worry and determination. He said nothing, but in that silence she felt the weight of a secret growing. Between them, a secret that would soon draw danger closer than either of them expected, and somewhere far beyond the stars. Unseen forces were already moving, for the paralyzed alien girl was more than abandoned. She was hunted. The next morning felt heavy. The human woke before the sun. Gathering his tools and packing a small bag, he did not speak much, his eyes sharp and restless. The girl watched him quietly, fear pressing against her chest. She knew why he was tense. The girl's throat tightened, no sound escaping. The soldier stepped closer, his boots echoing on the stone floor. You should have died when they left you. You bring shame to us, and now you hide with a human? Pathetic, he raised a device. From his belt, its light flickering dangerously. But before he could act, a voice roared from behind him. Step away from her. The human was back. He stood at the doorway, sweat dripping, hands clutching a heavy metal rod he had fashioned into a weapon. The soldier turned, sneering. A human dares protect her? You don't understand what she is. You'll die for nothing. The human tightened his grip, eyes blazing. And I'll die standing, not crawling like you. The soldier lunged, but the human met him with a furious strike. Metal clashed against armor, sparks flying. The fight was brutal. Untrained, desperate, the human was strong, but the soldier was trained to kill. Every blow sent pain shooting through the human's arms. But he did not stop. He would not stop. The girl screamed, her voice breaking. Please, stop. Her markings flared bright, the glow spreading across her body like fire. The soldier froze, his eyes widening. You're awake, he hissed, stepping back. The glow pulsed, the air thickening with energy. Objects around the room began to tremble. Lifting slightly into the air, the girl's body shook violently, and tears rolled down her face. I can't control it, she cried. The human saw her pain, and rage burned through him. With a final shout, he slammed the metal rod into the soldier's side, forcing him against the wall. The soldier collapsed, armor dented, gasping for breath. But his lips twisted into a smile. They will come, he whispered darkly. They already know. Then he activated a small beacon on his wrist, a sharp red light flashing before his body went limp. The girl's glow faded, leaving her trembling, pale, and terrified. The human dropped the weapon, rushing to her side. You're safe. It's over, he whispered. But she shook her head violently, tears spilling. No, it's not over, that beacon. It called them, more will come. The human looked at the dead soldier, then at the sky beyond the broken roof. For the first time, real fear touched his face. Not for himself, but for her. He knew now that the whispers had been true. Someone powerful wanted her gone, and they would not stop with just one soldier. That night, the shelter was quiet again. But the peace was an illusion. The human sat awake, sharpening his weapon, reinforcing. The door. The girl lay beside the dying fire, her body weak, her mind broken. She wanted to tell him everything, to tell him why they hunted her, but fear sealed her lips. If he knew the truth, maybe he would leave. She could not bear that. Better he remain in the dark, even if it destroyed them both. But the human was not blind. He saw the way she looked away whenever her markings glowed. He heard the catch in her breath whenever she whispered about being cursed. And though she kept her secret, he already knew one truth. She was the key to something far greater, something dangerous enough that soldiers would cross the stars to silence her. Far above the ruined world, in the cold blackness of space, a ship changed course. 4 elite soldiers, far deadlier than the one who had fallen, received the signal. Their leader studied the beacon's coordinates with a grim smile. The crippled girl lives, he said, his voice dripping with malice, and the human who shelters her will die screaming. The human did not sleep that night. He sat by the door, weapon in hand, watching the shadows stretch across the ruined floor. Every sound of the wind felt like footsteps. Every crack of the fire felt like armor shifting. The girl stirred restlessly, whispering in her sleep, her glowing markings flickering faintly like lightning under her skin. He could only stare, his jaw tight. Whatever she carried inside her, it was more than he understood, and more dangerous than he could imagine. By dawn, he had made his choice. They could not stay. He built a small cart from broken wheels and scraps strong enough to carry her through the rubble. When she woke, he knelt beside her, voice steady, though his hands shook. We're leaving, they'll come, and this place won't protect us anymore. Her eyes widened in fear. No. If we run, they'll find us faster. The human shook his head. If we stay, we're already dead. They left the shelter, moving through ruins half swallowed by vines and silence. The girl lay on the cart, gripping its sides, watching his back as he pulled her forward. For the first time, she noticed the scars across his arms, marks of old battles and survival. He had always fought, always endured, and now he carried her too, as if her weight was nothing. But high above, in the endless black sky, the hunters were already near. The elite soldier's ship cut through the clouds like a blade, its dark hull glowing with crimson lights. Inside, 4 figures stood ready, their armor heavier, sharper, deadlier than the lone soldier before. Their leader, Commander Vayner, stared at the map flickering before him. The beacon came from here, he said coldly, pointing to the ruined sector. A crippled one breathes, our people abandoned. Her for a reason she cannot be allowed to live, and the human who dares protect her. He will be our message to the galaxy. The ship descended silently, its engines humming like a predator's growl. In the ruins below, animals scattered, birds screamed into the air. The human froze mid-step, pulling the cart behind him. The girl's eyes widened, terror gripping her. They're here, she whispered, her markings glowing faintly without her control. They've found us. The ground shook as the ship landed. Dust rose in the air, and the sound of heavy boots followed. 4 armored figures stepped out, their visors gleaming red, weapons glowing with deadly power. They moved like shadows, silent and certain. The human pulled the girl behind a crumbled wall, pressing a finger to his lips. Her body trembled. Her breath short and quick. They'll kill you, she whispered. He looked at her, his eyes fierce. Then let them try. The hunters spread out, scanning the ruins. One spoke, his voice mechanical. Life signs detected. North sector. The commander raised his hand. Alive, he ordered. I want to see the human who thinks himself brave. The girl clutched the human's arm, tears burning her eyes. You can't fight them. They'll destroy you. But the human only smiled, though it was heavy with sorrow. Maybe, but I won't let them take you. Not while I breathe. He led her deeper into the ruins, weaving through broken corridors and fallen towers, but the hunters were faster, stronger and relentless. Every step echoed with their pursuit. The girl's powers flickered uncontrollably. Small stones lifting into the air, walls trembling as her fear grew. The human noticed and whispered sharply, "Control it, they'll track the glow." "I can't," she sobbed. "It happens when I'm scared." He grabbed her hand tightly. "Ben, stay with me. Don't look at them. Look at me." For a moment it worked. Her markings dimmed, her breath slowing as she focused on his face. But then came the commander's voice, booming through the ruins. "Human, you hide a curse that even her own blood rejected. Hand her over, and I may grant you a clean death." The human's jaw clenched, anger burning in his chest. He stood from the shadows, shouting back, "She's not a curse. She's more than any of you will ever be." The hunters turned, weapons raised. The girl cried out, "No!" Her markings flared brighter than ever before. A wave of raw energy burst from her body, throwing stones into the air and shattering broken walls. The human shielded her, holding her close. The hunters staggered but did not fall, their armor absorbing the shock. Their commander tilted his head, studying her glow. "So it awakens," he muttered darkly. "This is why she must die." The human's heart pounded. He had seen her fear, her weakness, but this was power, unstable, uncontrollable, but real. And if she could control it, she could be unstoppable. He grabbed her face gently, forcing her to meet his eyes. "Listen to me. You are not cursed. You are not broken. You are stronger than they want. You to believe, fight it, don't let it burn you, make it yours." Tears rolled down her glowing cheeks. I can't," she whispered. "You can," he said firmly, "because I believe in you." The hunters advanced, their weapons humming with deadly light. The human raised his metal rod. Standing between them and the girl, his body shook. His arms were weak, but his spirit blazed like fire. The commander's voice was cold. "Step aside, human. You cannot stop us." The human smiled grimly. "Maybe not, but I can slow you down." The girl clutched his sleeve, her markings pulsing faster, brighter. Her body trembled, but she held on, focusing on his voice, his presence. For the first time, her power did not lash out wildly. It bent, just slightly, to her will. A stone, lifted slowly from the ground, steady this time, not violent. Her eyes widened in shock. She was controlling it, even if only a little. The commander saw it and narrowed his eyes. "Interesting," he muttered, "but it changes nothing, and them." The hunters raised their weapons, the air trembling with the power about to be unleashed. The human braced himself, pulling the girl behind him. But in that moment, the ruins themselves seemed to stir. The glow from her body spread across the stones, across the ground, as if the very earth answered her call. The hunters froze, just for a breath, and in that breath, everything changed. The ruins shook as the glow spread from the girl's body into the broken stones. Cracks lit up like veins of fire across the ground, glowing brighter with every breath she took. The hunters froze for a heartbeat, their visors flickering with strange readings. Others already know. The core calls to them, and when they come, you will wish she had died in the dirt where she belonged. With that, his body fell silent, the last of his strength gone. The ruins echoed with silence again, broken only by the girl's soft sobs and the human's steady breathing. For a long time, neither spoke. At last, the human lifted her gently into his arms, his voice low but strong. "Then let them come. We'll face them together." The girl clung to him, still trembling, but deep in her chest, something had changed. For the first time, she believed his words, and for the first time, she wondered if she could be more than a curse. Maybe she could be something greater, far above, in the cold void of space. Lights flickered as distant ships received the same signal. Not just hunters this time, but fleets, commanders, warlords, and empires all turning their eyes toward the small, ruined world. The core had been awakened, and the galaxy was coming. The night sky glowed with fire. It was not from the stars, but from the ships descending through the clouds. Their engines roared like storms, and their shadows stretched across the ruined city. Dozens of warships, banners of different empires painted across their hulls. They had come as the dying commander, promised, drawn by the core, drawn by the girl. The human stood on the edge of the broken wall. The girl beside him, her body was still weak, her legs unable to move, but her eyes burned with fear and guilt. She whispered, "They're here. All of them." Her voice trembled. "I brought this. I brought death to you." He crouched beside her, brushing his hand over her hair. "No, you didn't bring them. Their greed did. Their fear did. And we're not finished yet." The first ships landed with thunder. Armies poured from them. Armored soldiers, alien hunters, machines crawling across the ground. The sound of drums and horns filled the air. Voices rose in chants, calling her name, not as a girl, but as a weapon, as a prize. The girl clutched her chest. The core. It's answering them. Her markings glowed faintly, her body shaking as if something inside her was trying to break free. "I can't hold it back. I'll hurt you. I'll hurt everyone." The human grabbed her hands firmly, his voice steady. "Then don't hold it back. But don't fight alone. Let me carry it with you." Her eyes widened. "That's impossible. The core destroys everyone who touches it." But the human only smiled faintly. "Then I'll be the first who doesn't." The armies advanced, their leaders raising banners, their voices echoing promises of power and conquest. The ground trembled with the weight of war, and above it all, the girl cried out as the core surged inside her. Light burst from her skin, wrapping her like fire. She screamed, her body arching, the power tearing at her soul. The human didn't step back. He pressed his forehead against hers, holding her tightly as the light threatened to consume them both. "I'm here. I'm not leaving you. Not now. Not ever." And then something impossible happened. The light split, flowing into him. The core, wild and endless, spilled across their bond. The girl gasped, her glow steadying, no longer wild. For the first time, the core did not break someone it shared. His body burned, his veins lit like rivers of fire. Pain roared through him, but he held on, refusing to let go. Together, the two of them stood. United in light, the armies froze, their chants faltering. Leaders shouted orders, but fear spread through their ranks. This was not the cursed girl they had hunted. This was something else, something greater. The first wave attacked, machines crawling, cannons firing, soldiers charging. The human lifted his hand, light answering his call. Beams of pure energy struck the ground, shattering the front lines. The girl raised her arms, her markings blazing. Walls of light rose, deflecting fire, protecting them. Both, they moved as one. Her power flowed into him, and his will shaped it. He gave her control where she had none. She gave him strength beyond human limits. Together, they were unstoppable, but the enemy was endless. For every soldier that fell, 10 more came. For every machine destroyed, more descended from the sky. Their light shook the earth, but exhaustion weighed heavy on them both. The human's breath grew ragged, blood slipping from his lips. The girl clung to him, fear rising. "You're dying. The core is eating you." He smiled weakly. "Then let it eat me. As long as you live, as long as you're free." She shook her head, tears streaming. "No, I won't let you. Not you." The armies circled tighter, leaders shouting, and then a horn blasted across the battlefield. The enemies froze, confused. From the horizon, new ships descended, not marked by empires, not hunters or warlords. These ships were different, sleek, silver, their banners unknown. The human and the girl turned, their bodies trembling. From the lead ship, A voice boomed across the land. Enough! The armies fell silent. Even the ground seemed to pause. Figures emerged, tall, cloaked, their presence heavy like the weight of ages. One stepped forward, his eyes glowing with the same light as the girl's markings. The girl gasped. They're like me, the figure's voice echoed. No, child, they are not like you. You are the last of the Corborn, the only one who survived the purge. We are its guardians. The human narrowed his eyes. Then why let her suffer? Why? Abandon her? The guardian lowered his hood, his face marked with old scars. Because her power was not meant to exist. The core destroys worlds. We swore to erase it. But fate spared her. And now you, human, have bound yourself to it. That has never happened. Before, the girl clutched the human's arm, whispering, Are they here to kill us? The guardian looked at them both, long and hard. Finally, he said, No, not yet. Perhaps not ever. Because what we see here is something the core was never meant to be, not destruction, but unity. The armies of empires shouted in anger, demanding the girl be taken, demanding the core. But the guardians raised their hands, and silence fell. You came for power, the guardian said, his voice booming. But what you see is not yours. Leave now or be erased. Fear rippled through the armies. Some fled at once, ships lifting off in panic. Others held their ground, but their leaders hesitated, for they knew they could not win. The human held the girl tighter, his body weak, his veins still burning. With the core, she leaned against him, whispering, You stayed. Even when everyone else left, even when you should have run. He smiled faintly. Of course I did. I told you I'll never leave you. And for the first time, the girl believed she was not cursed. She was not abandoned. She was loved, and together with him, they would face whatever came next. Above them, the fleets withdrew. The battlefield emptied. The guardians vanished into the stars. But one truth remained. The galaxy would never forget the day a broken alien girl and a stubborn human stood against them all, and the story was only beginning.